Okay, it's Dan here, Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform, and I also hold Kilo 7, Delta Victor Sierra. And I just wanted to make a video today about some of the digital voice modes that we have in amateur radio. And there's a bunch of them. There's Fusion, C4FM, P25, D-Star, DMR. Um, Specifically, I kind of want to go into some details on DMR, digital mobile radio. And one of the things about some of these other modes, such as D-Star or Fusion, they are brand specific. So if you have, a Yaesu radio, it's going to be Fusion digital capable, but it cannot communicate with a DMR radio or a D-Star radio. If you have an ICOM radio, it's going to be a D-Star radio. But with DMR, it's a bit more of an open standard where there's manufacturers that produce it, multiple manufacturers, Motorola being the main one, but there's also Chinese manufacturers, lots of different options. So you're not kind of tied down to one brand. And also that can be beneficial, especially if you don't want to spend a ton of money getting started. And one of the things I hear a lot, and I've heard a lot from folks, is that DMR is too complicated, it's too technical. Well, remember, this was made as a commercial standard. It was made for people that are not radio savvy. So if they can do it, then you can do it. Hams aren't stupid people. We can do it. And really, it's another voice mode. Like, we started out with AM, amplitude modulation. We went to FM, frequency modulation, single sideband. And with digital voice modes, how it works is your voice goes out, it gets changed into numbers and digits, zeros and ones, and goes across the air, and then it gets converted back on the other end by the other radio into audio that you can hear. So, it's not really that complicated to set it up or program it. If you're programming in an FM voice repeater into your radio, usually you need to know things like the frequency, the offset, the tone, if there's tone squelch on it, um, things like that. And really, that's the same when it comes to programming in a DMR channel. So there's the talk group, DMR talk group, and don't get that confused. Really, what that means in layman's terms is channel. Just call talk group a channel, and it's a number. Then there's your time slots, time slot 1 and time slot 2. And why we have time slots on DMR is because we can have two simultaneous conversations going on at once over one frequency, over one repeater. So that's a great advantage. If you have one repeater set up, it's like having two repeaters. So that's a great advantage, and it's using half the bandwidth of an FM repeater. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty handy thing to have that feature. Then there's the color code, right? Usually amateur radio repeaters are all configured with color code 1, and that's kind of just like another word for a tone, just like if you had a tone squelch on an FM repeater. And so there's just a few terms and a few things you need to learn, and you need to know the details of that repeater, which you'll find on the internet, on the club website, or maybe on Repeater Book, and you program them all in, and away you go. And so there's some real advantages. It's networked radio, so of course you could just do simplex radio to radio on DMR, but you can also connect into a repeater, and these repeaters carry various talk groups, which is, it's a little different than like Yaesu System Fusion, where there's these things they call rooms that you have to log into with your radio to access it. But with DMR, the repeater is going to have talk groups that are on it all the time. So, like every state has a statewide talk group, or in the case of Canada, province-wide talk group. So here in British Columbia, we have BC1 talk group, and all the different repeaters across the province carry this talk group, or we can call it a channel. And when I take my radio and I key it up on BC1, I am lighting up all the different repeaters across the province that carry it. And now I didn't need to dial anything up, anything like that. All I did was push the brand over in Kelowna or over in Vancouver. that I wanted to see if he's on the radio. All he has to do is have his radio switched on BC1 and he'll hear me. So it's very straightforward, and you just need to learn some of those simple things. I would recommend, I know a lot of guys go out and they get a code plug that they download and they put it in their radio, and then they're good to go. They say they got their radio all set and ready. But I would recommend actually trying to program it yourself. Maybe just programming in a few channels to start, and that way you understand how it works, what some of the terminology is, and really what's going on. And so yeah, this linking system of how these repeaters are linked is dependent upon the internet. Um, however, you know, it's dependent on the internet, but that's becoming more resilient all the time with different technology. And we have like the ARDN network, Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network, and we are linking mountaintops that way. So it's very, very interesting technology, very good thing to have. Okay, so I'll do a quick demonstration now on our province-wide talk group BC1 and see if there's anyone monitoring, see if they copy me. This is Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform on BC1. Is there anyone available for a quick demonstration on DMR? There maybe is, maybe there's not.
Victor Uniform, Victor Alpha, Tango to the mic. I'm available.
Yeah, Victor Alpha 7, Tango Charlie Mike, Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform. Hi there, Trevor. Yeah, I was just actually making a bit of a video here about DMR and digital radio. So I'm glad you came back to me. Could you tell me where you're located? Over.
Yeah, Roger, no worries there, Dan. Yeah, I'm located in Fort St. John, BC. That's northeastern part of BC. So I do believe you're located down in the 1001st there in Marysville, if that's not correct.
Yeah, that's affirmative. I'm in the Kootenays here in the southeastern part of British Columbia. So I think we're at least 500 miles apart. So that's great. That's a great demonstration of the power of DMR here, Trevor. So thanks for that. Thanks for the check. And I'll let you go for now. Maybe we'll hear you a bit later. 7-3, Victor Alpha 7, Tango Charlie Mike. This is Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform, going clear of BC1.
We have across the province there, and allows us to keep interconnected with everybody else. So, well, very good. So, you're demonstrating to someone else, or just video?
Yeah, Trevor, just for the video. I think I might have doubled with you, but I think we're probably at least 600 miles apart. So that's a really good demonstration to show the power of DMR. So yes, and I'm in the southeastern part of British Columbia here in the Kootenays. So I'll let you go for now, Trevor, and maybe we'll catch you a little bit later. Thanks for the assistance there. 7-3, Victor Alpha 7, Tango Charlie Mike. This is Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform, going clear of BC1.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. No problem. Glad to help out in your demonstration there. And yeah, just for a disclaimer, this was not pre-planned. I had a radio sitting right beside me, and Dan called out, and I responded back. So that shows you how well effective communication with Aaron radio. All right, 73 Dan, VSMVU, VA 57, VQR.
7-3, Trevor, Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform. So there you go. Very interesting, very simple. Reached out to somebody that's way up in another part of the province here. British Columbia is a huge province. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. That's a little demonstration. Okay, so this is an example of a hotspot here. It's just in a fancy case, but what it is a Raspberry Pi 3 with an MMDVM Pi hat is what it's called. And so it's 20 milliwatts out. MMDVM stands for multi-mode digital voice modem. And it's just got the little stubby antenna on here. But you'd be surprised when you put a longer antenna on it, it can actually, you know, a mile away, you could access it. Now, something like this, a hotspot, it needs to be connected to the internet. So you know, maybe the Wi-Fi at your home or through your cell phone. So this is a good option. Maybe you live down in the holler where you got mountains on both sides of you and you can't access a repeater, a DMR repeater. But this an MMDVM modem like this can actually handle all kinds of modes. It can handle fusion, P25, but I primarily just use it for DMR. So it's a way to access the DMR network when you don't have a repeater near you or maybe bad coverage. So you know, there's those cases where you just don't have access to a DMR repeater, the coverage isn't good, the signal's too weak. Something like this is really helpful. And you can also build a DMR repeater with the same sort of situation. Like it's running a program called Pi-Star on the Raspberry Pi, and so you could repurpose a couple old radios and make it into a repeater, or an old FM analog repeater. You could repurpose it and do that. Now, in my area, there was no DMR repeaters, so I ended up putting up my own repeater, which is something that anybody can do if you have the proper licensing and know-how. I did experiment by building a repeater with the MMDVM board, and it works pretty good. But what I run is an actual commercial DMR Motorola repeater, and it works really, really well. That's what I prefer. And over here is an example of some DMR radios. You know, these are all DMR. They're all Motorola. All the Mototurbo line, and you know, but you don't have to go Motorola. There's a lot of options like Chinese radios. Anytone, the Anytone 878 is really popular, and they're really user friendly. They're pretty cost effective. But with Motorola's, there's a little more complications. You got to have the right programming software or know somebody that does have it. But you know, once you go to Motorola, it's kind of hard to go back. Just with the quality and the, you know, you could take this radio and just throw it, and it's still going to work. And the battery life on them and the way they sound, the audio quality, they're hard to beat. But that's what I like for DMR. But there's an example of some DMR radios, and there's an example of a hotspot. Now, of course, a lot of folks starting out with DMR will start out with a handheld radio, but you don't have to. It's good to have some mobile radios. Here's in my pickup DMR radio mounted in the pickup, and another one down there. Again, the Mototurbo line. All right, and then here's an example of a DMR radio mounted in the home station. Okay, and I just wanted to show you this as well. This is the control center for BC Turbo. So you can pull this up on your cell phone or your computer. And you can see earlier VE7VU Dan, that's me. And you can see VA7TCM Trevor. That's who I was talking to. You can see us talking back and forth here, and what repeater. I was going through VE7DCX. He was going through VE7YXJ in Fort St. John. And so there's lots of information there. You can see signal strengths and whatnot. Also, you could look at it on Brandmeister here, because there's a C bridge between the BC Turbo network and the Brandmeister network. And it also shows lots of information there. So, and you can see that in real time. So it's very helpful for seeing maybe someone's signal strength or what repeater they're going through, or if they're making it into the network, stuff like that. Victor Alpha 7 X-Ray Romeo Juliet. This is Victor Echo 7 Victor Uniform. Do you copy?
I interviewed a bar manager.
Victor Alpha 7 X-Ray Romeo Juliet. Yes, I copy you down.
Yeah, okay. I'm just down at Matthews here. I was just testing the radio. I shouldn't be too much longer.
I'll see you when I get back. Victor Alpha 7 X-Ray Romeo Juliet going clear.
Okay, 7-3. Victor Echo 7 Victor Uniform. Clear of BC1.
VA7 X-Ray Gate. Yeah, copy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Russ, are you going to go look at that MVA, or I'm too far out here to get there in time, but I might head back that way.
Yeah, I might head out before my shower here. I'll let you know. This is PA7XRJ going clear.
Yeah, okay. I'll head that way whenever I get there. 7-3, Victor Echo 7, Victor Uniform. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful to someone that's looking to get involved with some of the digital voice modes in amateur radio. Uh, it's no secret I'm a proponent of DMR. That's the mode I like the most, but I own radios for everything, for Fusion, P25, D-Star, everything. But for me, DMR, and also, you know, the most repeaters you're going to find are going to be for DMR. And there's a lot more of them all across North America. Thanks for watching. It's 7-3.